What's the relationship between reading and looking television movies as you did? And you combine both, you bring it together. But often teachers says that's a problem. There are antagonists looking too much television or going into internet and reading books. How do you judge this situation?
It's true, and I understand where that's coming from. I do feel that at the base of good television, good movies, good books is storytelling. Yeah. And you can either tell a compelling story or not. And I feel like the fundamentals of that will always be the same. Yeah. You have a sympathetic protagonist, he has a dilemma, and in solving that dilemma, the protagonist goes from point A to point B. Yeah. And whether that's television, movies, or books, that journey should always remain the same. Yeah. Also, I would say it's the kind of books that I loved growing up, where I have a love for the 19th century novel, for the stories of Dickens and what have you. And those are the kind of stories that translate very easily to television and movies as well.
Yeah, because of the plot.
Because of the plot. Yeah. But also, television writing is a real craft. Yeah. You have to really learn that craft. Yeah. And what it teaches you to do is it teaches you how to create a scene. Yeah. Where the scene begins and the scene ends, and it goes to a different place and creates new dilemmas for the characters at the end of that. Yeah. And that translates really well to a novel, where at the end of the chapter, you know how to put that chapter together. Yeah, and also teaches you to write dialogue.
Okay, and that's, we feel this reading Emerald, that the dialogues are wonderful and so witty. And so you had a lot of chances to try before and to write them before for television, and now for this first novel. Why did you choose this issue for the first novel, the dwarfs and the fantasy as a genre for the first novel?
Well, the story is about 5 years ago, when I was, I was working on the OC at the time. Yeah. And I was very happy. Everything seemed great. Then I read His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. Yeah. And suddenly that was entirely what I wanted to do, was to write children's fantasy literature. Yeah. And at about the same time, I was one day looking through an old family photo album and feeling very nostalgic for this time, 20 years ago, where my sisters and I were on vacation. Yeah. And then I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a magic photo album where I could go back to that time? And from that sprang sort of the core concept that the book then kind of was built around.
Yes, it's the first time I saw this idea that you can travel in time because of old photographs and photographs slipping into books, and then you are in another reality, in another time, and another space. This was the first idea, and it's a very important idea for this book.
It was the kernel for me because it was the plot kernel that it was going to come from, but also I liked the idea that it was, for me, a metaphoric kernel, because all my life books have been the magic element that carried me to a story here, to a story there, to Middle Earth or Narnia. So I wanted to have a book in my book that would actually function for that double property.
Yeah, and now you have, it will be a trilogy. You have 3 books.
Apparently.
Not only one, and 3 books in 3 books. Yes. As to say, and the first one will be about time, past, present, future. Yes. The second, obviously, about life, and the third, perhaps, about death. So this is the trilogy.
This is the trilogy.
It's planned like that. The first is finished right now and will be published soon.
Yes.
And
it's very exciting.